Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, let's talk the fight that everybody and their mama want to see. Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. That's the fight we want to see, right? First and foremost, I'm a fan of both fighters. I became a real fan of Manny Pacquiao after seeing him defeat Timothy Bradley. You know, I can't hate on him no more. Alright, I'm just being honest. I'm a fan of Floyd Mayweather as well. So I'm a fan of both guys. I think they're wonderful fighters. They have beauty and both of them have beauty in what they do. I think both of them are pretty perceptive in how to deal with different opponents. One is predominantly a offensive genius, and the other one is more defensively minded, but yet does breed his offense off of his defense. And he's also a genius. Now, let me talk about these two fighters. First of all, the fans of Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, please, fans, please, you guys keep on dealing in the past. And these guys have fought different opponents and they've beaten them. Okay? That's that. They have the W. That's what matters. The W. They got their W. It doesn't matter the conditions in which they get the W, because their competitors agreed to the terms of the fight. Otherwise we wouldn't have a fight, right? Alright, let's move on. All the talk about Floyd ducking Manny, Manny ducking Floyd, who did this, who that, it's irrelevant, man. It's irrelevant. So I'm not one of those fans who talks about reasons why the fight will not happen. I'm going to give you reasons why the fight will happen, and it will happen in May of next year. Alright, so let's go through the reasons. The first reason is Canelo Alvarez versus Miguel Cotto. I believe that fight is actually going to pan out and happen next year, May. That's a huge fight. I mean, I can't understate that. That's a huge fight. That's Mexico versus Puerto Rico. They have a rivalry that goes way back into time. So, to say that these guys, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, are not going to fight one another in May is to really fool ourselves. I'll give you another reason. The second reason is that if Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather don't fight, what's the next biggest fight for either of them to fight? And that second reason says they're running out of high caliber opposition with experience. Floyd fought Marcos Maidana because Marcos Maidana has fought a number of high caliber opposition and he was a world champion. Manny Pacquiao is fighting Chris Algieri because he's a champion. See, Pacquiao is also trying to follow in the footsteps of Floyd Mayweather and fight champions now. He fought a champion in Timothy Bradley. He couldn't find high caliber opposition at the welterweight level in Top Rank, so he's looking for it through Chris Algieri. You understand? He's run out of top level opposition, and guess what? So has Floyd Mayweather. He's got to pick between Amir Khan and Manny Pacquiao. Keith Thurman's not as experienced. Kell Brook just won his world title, yes, but he's not as experienced and doesn't have a resume of high caliber opposition like Amir Khan or Manny Pacquiao. Which means if Floyd fights Khan, he's not going to beat back Canelo in pay-per-view. And you do remember, Canelo Alvarez is looking to become the next pay-per-view star, take over the pay-per-view, and take back the Mexican holidays. So, Manny Pacquiao, he can't find high-level opposition. Floyd Mayweather, he can't find high-level opposition to compete against Canelo for next May. So, you know, these two are on a collision course. Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao is the biggest thing. The other reasons. The next reason is the pay-per-view is just too big for these guys to turn down that kind of currency. I don't care if they're promoters don't like each other or don't want to be involved, whether Heyman doesn't like to be involved with Arum, or Mayweather doesn't want to be involved with Arum, it really doesn't matter. And let me give you some numbers for you to understand what I mean. In terms of numbers, we're going to just crunch some numbers here. When Floyd Mayweather fought Oscar De La Hoya, he was a pay-per-view king, yes. Oscar De La Hoya was a pay-per-view king himself. Floyd couldn't make over 400 pay-per-view buys. Oscar was the pay-per-view king, probably was doing 800, maybe 800 pay-per-view buys. Let's talk Canelo Alvarez when he fought Floyd Mayweather. Canelo Alvarez wasn't a pay-per-view king. Floyd Mayweather was a pay-per-view king. Floyd Mayweather was doing over 1 million buys. My point being, Canelo versus Floyd and Oscar versus Floyd are the two highest pay-per-view buys in history. Manny Pacquiao, on the other hand, is a pay-per-view king. He does, on average, 600 to 700 pay-per-view buys. Floyd Mayweather is the next pay-per-view king, and he averages 800 to 900 pay-per-view buys. 800 to 1,000, sorry. You put those two together, and you get 3 to 4 times more pay-per-view buys than the highest pay-per-view buys ever. I'm talking about Oscar versus Floyd. And that's huge numbers. No one wants to not be involved in those kinds of numbers. Okay, conservatively twice the amount. Because let's say Canelo was doing 300 pay-per-view buys, or Floyd was doing 400 pay-per-view buys, and Oscar was doing 800. Then if Pacquiao's doing 700 to 800 and Floyd's doing close to 1,000, that's twice to 3 times the amount of pay-per-view buys you're going to get just from the interest. Now the other point, the most important point, is that Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather are much more well known through social media and throughout the world beyond boxing than Oscar De La Hoya was and Floyd was back in the day. That adds to the pay-per-view buys. That adds to the back end. So no matter how these guys want to look at it, this is a fight that is most definitely going to happen. But I believe it's going to happen this May. Because if they don't pull it off this May, and Canelo fights Cotto this May, Canelo becomes the pay-per-view king, and he pretty much, governs the sport, especially if he beats Miguel Cotto. He'll take over pay-per-view. And they won't have a chance like this again. If Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao fight, they're going to be winners. I think if you look at the history of the thing, Adrian Broner is more popular for losing to Marcos Maidana because he put up a great fight. He got beat the crap out of him, but he put up a great fight. You look at Marcos Maidana versus Floyd twice. Put up 2 great fights. The second not as good as the first, and he has become so much more popular. Imagine these 2 guys fighting in front of the world. It doesn't really matter who wins or who loses, even if it's a close fight or even if it's somebody gets knocked out, because they're going to be so much more popular than they were before. They're going to gross in so much more money from their other fights. It doesn't matter if they lose or if they win. Everybody's going to tune in for their style of fighting. Doesn't matter if they get knocked out or not. Now, even more people who weren't watching boxing are going to watch either guy. And it could possibly set up for a rematch as well. So these are just some of the reasons why I believe that these guys are going to duke it out in the ring. And to be honest with you, we could talk how much we want. Until these guys get in the ring and fight one another, as Roy Jones Jr. said, it really doesn't matter. Talk is cheap. So let's see these guys get in the ring and do what they got to do. I love them both. I wish them the best. I wish them health. I don't want to see either of them get permanently hurt. I would love to see both of them, their careers go very well and they prosper and be in good health, and help the sport as well of boxing to be safer and also to be a better better for boxers and also better for fans. So that's all I got to say. And on to the next one.